please subscribe, please hit like. I'm not going to be doing watchmaking today, but tomorrow, yes. So today I just wanted to show you a couple of very nice watches. I may have shown you these before, but what you're looking at right now is the Citizen EcoDrive. This is a Blue Angels watch. As it says here, it is radio controlled. What does that mean? That means there are radio stations worldwide that are used to actually send out a signal and synchronize the time on these watches. So this watch is, I believe it's pointing or getting the signal from the northern U.S. I can't recall the actual station it's getting it from, but it's the northern U.S. And it is a Blue Angels watch, so it does all kinds of stuff, including calculating how much fuel you have remaining. If you can figure out this dial, then you're smarter than I am. So I'm sure if you were panicking to figure out how many nautical miles you had left before you could get to that airport, you'd probably figure out how to use this. I think so. It's got a button down here that you press and it tells you whether it's actually connected with the channel. So there's the dial here that says, yeah, I have received a new time code or not. So right now it said no. So if you press that once, it does that. It also gives you the battery power level right there. There's the battery power is very good. And I had these in the dark for a day or so, but I normally have them in a window. And this is a super accurate watch. So, and to put it in the radio mode, I just hold the dial down and it's in receive mode right now. And then this dial here, this sweep second hands dial, points at the location for this, and that's where it would be the time zone it's looking at right now. So I think the next one next to it's Rio. There's a Rio up there, and London's on the top here, as you can see. So you preset that to where you are. I'm in Ottawa, Canada, and so I had it preset. I'm not sure what that says, but I got New York City right here, so I'm just off from New York City, but I'm daylight savings time as well, and it's in receive mode. It's likely not going to be able to receive the signal because I'm in a room. It's recommended that you put the watch in a window at night. It will, in the evening, receive the right time, and away it goes. So there it's given up again, and also it's a chronograph, so you can press the chronograph function like that and set this as a chronograph and start ticking. So it's pretty amazing. This thing will do pretty much anything you want it to do. You press that button again like that, and I believe this resets it like this, and then you can start chronographing again. So there you go. So you can time the Olympics this summer. So this is a Citizen Blue Angel, and I think if I press it again, it goes back to time mode. There we go. And the back of this watch has the Blue Angel Citizens EcoDrive Citizens watch. Citizen makes very good watch. So this has got an H800 movement in it. You can see that in the corner here. See if I can get my tweezer to the right area. Right down there, the H800 movement. And this here is the serial number for this particular the part number for this watch. And the serial number is on the bottom. And it's a Japanese watch movement. So had this for quite a while. It's a leather band on it. It's a very beautiful watch, Citizen Blue Angel. I bought this 7 years ago, I believe. So that's watch number 1. So watch number 2 is my Citizen EcoDrive Pro Master Diver. This is an actual dive watch. It's also an EcoDrive, and it's solar powered. So this is also solar powered. And for this watch here, this small second hand here points at the level of charge. So right now it's at level 1. If you leave it in the sun for a long time, it can get to level 2, or if you have an automatic charger, I'll show you that one of those in a few seconds, then it'll get to level 2. Normally it's at level 1, but that satisfies the dive for the watch. Anyway, so the one thing that's interesting with this dive, other than the fact that it's got locking buttons here, so you actually have to unscrew these buttons like this to activate the chronograph functions on this watch. And these are sealed for diving. So if you unscrew them like that, and then you're able to press that down like this, Then you can activate that and clear that up. Of course, I don't know how to do it. I'll figure this out someday, folks. I'll figure this out someday. And is this going to go around for me? And there you go. So that's set now for diving. I think it just naturally goes back to setting for time. I have to look at the manual once again, though. It's pretty complex, this watch. So what's interesting about this watch, I have to remember to screw these in, because if I don't, I'll forget and I'll go diving and then there'll be problems. So I am a NAUI certified diver. So the original certifications were NAUI, and I do have a Jacques Cousteau original regulator. Now I got that from my wife, who's also a diver. So this watch is a beast, as I'm saying. So over here is there's a water detector here, right there. It detects whether it's wet or not. So if I just lick my finger a little bit, even if I don't, and I put my finger on this like this, it should go into dive mode. See if this works. I think I may have it set wrong, though. I may have to go back and try this again, because I think I have it set for something else right now. So it does go into dive mode if you put your finger on there, but I pressed way too many buttons without reading the manual. So the next time you do this, read the manual. It's not that button. All right, there we go. So now it's ticking like a normal watch. And let me tighten those up again. This is a video for your entertainment, for Thursday evening entertainment. Now you've got to ask yourself, you're entertaining me or am I entertaining myself? So I'm going to go back to this sensor right here again and put my finger on top of that sensor like this, and let's see what happens. Come on. Do something. I guess it has to be in dive mode. I'm looking at it and it ain't doing anything. I guess it has to be in the water for this thing to work in dive mode. Anyway, that is a water sensor, and this is the depth sensor right here. So the water goes in there, and there's likely some rubber gasket or some rubber sensor in there that tells the watch how deep it is. So I could not tell you the technology behind this, but I am kind of upset that this thing doesn't do what it used to do. So we'll see what happens there. So even it's not even on the level for the right now. It's just doing seconds for me. It's not doing the come on, be my friend. Be my friend. Stopped. Start. Stop. Reset. Let's reset it. It's doing something. Going around twice around the cart, and then the third time around it's counting back, zeroing everything. I don't know what it's doing. So you guys can call me after you've read the manual and tell me how to run my watch. Oh, there we go. So now it's set level 1. It had to rewind itself for some reason to set that. Now let's see if the sensor works. It does. See how that goes to 0 meters? I take my finger off, goes back to level 1 of power, put my finger back on that sensor, 0 meters. So there, now it's set. So I should read the manual. So that's how it works. So it's a pretty beastie watch. It's the Citizen Pro Master Diver. It'll run you around $550, I think. It's very big on the wrist. It's your typical dive watch that I've got on right now. I've got a Seiko diver that I'm wearing right now, and I'll show you that. This is a Seiko. This is, I think it's an R36, but there it is there. This is Seiko watch, very beautiful. And this is an actual dive watch, and it's got the shroud on it, which is nice. And this is a big watch. The Seiko watch is pretty darn big. It's not Monday the 18th, by the way, I'm just lazy. And this is a 200-meter diver. No viewing window or anything on this, just a beast. And it's called a baby tuna. I think it's because of the shroud being like a tuna, a can of tuna. And on these watches, you just have to make sure that these shroud screws are tightened. So you'll lose your shroud unless you make sure these are tightened. You have to get a special screwdriver for that. But this is basically an automatic movement in here. I believe it's a 7R36 movement. Let's have a look and see. I can't recall. It is a, what is it? It's a 4R36 movement. It says it right there where my fingernail is. 4R36 movement. So it's a 4R36 movement, not a 7R36. So very nice watch. I really like this. I've had it for years. I've used it diving, and it's in good condition. And I go to strap code for straps. This is a strap code, fully milled strap. So this locks on both sides. It's a butterfly strap. That's what this is called. So it goes like that, and then you've got to press down here like this to lock it in place, and it's locked in place, and then there we go with the watch here. So that's the baby tuna. So I'm not going to do a review of every watch I have because we'd be here for hours. So this ProMaster diver is a Citizen, and it is solar powered. Never have to do anything. Effectively has a capacitor in it, and the capacitor, it's a battery, but the battery acts as a big capacitor. So, and the solar power just charges that up. So that's this watch here. And now the third watch, and this is I believe it's a 5600, but this is a G-Shock. So this is also solar powered. This is also radio controlled, right? Shock resistant, radio controlled, solar powered. As it says there, I think 300 meter dive distance, or 200 meter, whatever that is, M something 003. Anyway, this can go down. You can dive with this watch as well. And what's unique about this particular watch, and we'll see if I get the number right on this, it's a GW5000U. And what's neat about this watch is it is a Japan made in Japan. So it's not made in Malaysia. I believe a lot of the Casios are made in Malaysia, and this is made in Japan, and it's got your screw back case, as you can see, like traditional or atypical screw back case, as opposed to other G-Shocks that have this square case with screws in it, right? So, which I don't like. It's kind of cheap. This is not a cheap watch. I managed to source this a few years back. I actually got it from a gentleman in Canada. I'm not sure if it was lightly used or new, but I think he said it was new. But it's in mint condition. It's a little dirty right now. I could take a towel and clean it off, but it gives you everything you want. So it's tough solar. It's a G-Shock. Looks kind of cool on your wrist. It's a G-Shock. And you put that on your wrist, people go, hey, the guy's wearing a G-Shock. That's amazing. So this is a nice watch as well, and it's solar powered. So those are my 3 solar powered watches. Now, I have another watch here that's a Casio as well, I believe. I haven't put this one on in a little while, but this is my Casio fishing watch. Let's just slide this into place here. So there we go. Fishing gear, Casio fishing gear watch. It's got all kinds of buttons. I don't remember what they're for, but there's 4 buttons on it for a light, search, modes. I think the mode thing is there. So, and as you can see on the bottom here, there's little fish. 1, 2, 3, 4 fish. So right now there's only 2 fish showing. So with 2 fish showing, that means your fishing is not that great. If there's all 4 fish showing, that means your fishing is at its highest. So I don't know how that works, but I think it is a temperature watch also, because it tells me it's 24.8 degrees Celsius in this room right now. So, and what is that in Fahrenheit? Who knows? Probably almost 78 or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot in here. So it's Thursday the 20th. This is the second countdown, and then it's got, of course, the atypical hour hand and the minute hand here. So, but this is a pretty cool watch. It's pretty light. It's a thermo sensor, which is kind of neat. So, and it's water resistant to 200 meters. So I wear this little baby when I go fishing, and that way I know I can fish. Now, just like the G-Shocks, it has these 4 screws and the plate on the bottom. So it's not unique. This watch has a Japan movement but it's cased in, what does it say, China? Does it say it's cased in China? Let's have a look at this. Yes, cased in China. So it's a Japan movement. The thing was assembled in China. So this thing is the, what is it, the AQW101. AQW101. So this is not very expensive. This is like a $70 watch maybe. Maybe it's $100. I don't know. Look it up. But pretty good. If you want to take a watch out fishing and you're worried about maybe you're casting and all of a sudden you cast and the watch goes, flies off your wrist, and all of a sudden you've lost your watch, you've lost everything. You're not going to be very happy. So get one of these for fishing, and don't take your very expensive Casio dive watch out, or your Citizen dive watch rather. Don't take that out, and don't take your Citizen EcoDrive Blue Angel watch out, because those are nice and hard to find. And definitely don't take your Seiko Baby Tuna, because these are very hard to find. These cost you a few bucks to get one of these babies. So the last watch I want to talk about is the watch from my buddy Jim. So Jim gave me a bunch of watches to time, and this is the one I made a video on the other day, where I actually had to tune the capacitor in the back, or whatever it tunes. But there was a brass screw in the back of this watch that you turn, and that screw actually tuned the watch, so the seconds. So, and I think it affected the capacitance of the watch. But there's a coil in there, so it's the capacitor going into the coil. So I don't know what the electronic circuit is for this, but if I could see the electronic circuit in its full-blown capacity, I could tell you how it works, because I'm an electrical engineer, so I could figure that out. But this is a diver watch. It's a 150, and right now I've been timing this in over a couple of days, and it's only a couple seconds fast. So I think that might be as close as I can get it to accurate. And I think Jim will be pretty happy that I was able to play with this to get it to fairly accurate. So I'll call it fairly accurate, but there we go. So this is also a Seiko quartz watch. And as you know, I'm working on a Seiko Seiko watch of his. It's got the 7R36 movement in it. And I've been doing some work on that one there. I'm not sure if I should complete the work on that one, only because I'll assemble it, but the balance doesn't have much power, and I think it has to do with the mainspring. So what I was doing is I was sourcing mainsprings for that movement, and the mainspring itself will run you about $25 Canadian plus shipping. So you're looking at a mainspring costing you, see if I can zoom here. Looking at a mainspring costing you probably $30 with shipping, and guess what? I can buy a 7R36 movement for $25 Canadian with $1 shipping. So, and it's pretty much the equal of the N35 movement. So, and it's hacking and winding and everything else. So I have decided to pick one of those movements up, and I will still reassemble the movement I was reassembling and see if I can get it operating properly. But I think there's a problem with the mainspring. I made a video, and I don't know. You can tell me if you want me to put the video up or not. But the video was the partial assembly of this watch. There are other videos out there that show the actual full assembly, part 1 and part 2, of the 7R36 movement. 7S36, I think. I've been saying R. What am I? Who am I? Anyway, of that movement. So there's very comprehensive videos on on repairing that movement. In fact, it's the 7S36 movement, not R. And if you go to a channel called My Retro Watches, the gentleman there does an amazing job of a detailed job, part 1 and part 2 of the assembly of the 7S36. I was actually watching and following that video to actually do my assembly, and it was perfect. There's no issue at all. The only issue I have is that mainspring. I had to put that in by hand, only because my mainspring winder was winding it in the other direction, the wrong direction. So when I put it into the watch, I realized I can't wind it that way. So I had to actually put the mainspring in by hand. I'm not sure if that affected the performance of the mainspring barrel within the watch, although it closed perfectly, but the arbor might not have been grabbing it the right way. It doesn't seem to have the power to actually push the impulse jewel hard enough to swing that the balance enough. So I'm at a little bit of a loss. So I spent the $25 to get the other movement to see if I could get his watch up and running again. He's not concerned about the authenticity of it being Seiko at all. He just wants it to work. And an N35 movement it's made by Seiko anyway, right? So, and I'm told that that'll fit in the 7S36 type watch. So we'll see. I'll do a video on casing that, see how well that cases and for replacing a watch movement, as opposed to trying to fart with the mainspring and replacing parts on a movement that's not that expensive anyway. So in this case here, you're basically you're getting diminishing returns on your investment, right? If you buy a barrel for the 7S36 movement, and then you realize that it wasn't the barrel that's causing the issue, it's some other thing, you blew the same amount of money on the barrel as you would have blown on buying a brand new movement. So when it comes to not very high-end Seiko movements, I just recommend putting an N35 or N35 movement in it, as opposed to trying to fix or buy a subcomponent of a movement that's not that expensive in the first place, right? Now, if you're working on a high-end Tissot movement or other things, then yeah, the movement itself might cost you $150 to $200. So in this case, not worth the effort. So anyway, that's my chat today. I've chatted way too long, but this little baby here is now running really well. And as I've told you before, let me flip this over, see if this will open for me. Yeah, it will. Look at that, eh? It's opening. So you get it to some point in opening it, and then you take your tweezers and use your tweezers to round out the case back. There's a little tip for you. And let me see if I can use, right there, this screw is what I had to adjust the actual accuracy of this particular watch. So I did the adjustment, and now the accuracy is very good. This watch looks like it only has one jewel right in the middle. So it's not that high end, I don't think, of a quartz, but he likes it, and it's working well right now. So that's it. So that's the video for today. I normally don't do a lot of work on quartz movements, but my buddy Jim, I think he gave me this watch 20 years ago to work on, and I did something with it. I can't remember. It's all a blur. There you go. So I'm not going to tighten that completely in case I have to do further adjustments in the future. So there you go. So that's that. And geez, I got to show you one more. Just one more. I hate to do this, but I'm going to do it. But the one more is the Tudor. So the ladies' Tudor. Let me just screw the crown in on this before you see it, because it's really nice. So there it is. This is the ladies' Tudor. A tutor who tooted the flute taught two tutors who tutored to toot. Said the toot to the tutor, is it better to toot or tutor two tutors to toot? Try to say that fast. Anyway, this is the one I got going again. And this is the one I sourced a hairspring balance for this, and I installed the hairspring balance for this watch. I had taken the original hairspring and I had reshaped it and got the balance swinging at 360 degrees, which would, the amplitude would be half that amount, but it just wasn't adequate. So with this particular watch, I got this running with an amplitude of 260 degrees, which is a 520 degree swing, which is pretty phenomenal. And if you get an amplitude of 260, it was actually 261 on the watch, which is 522. But if you get an amplitude like that, it's likely going to keep time in all positions a lot better. If your amplitude is low, if you only have a swing of 360 degrees and half of that 150 amplitude, then it's not going to be able to keep time that well in all 5 positions. So this was keeping time well in all 5 positions. And I've kept it for a couple days to see how long the mainspring will stay wound, and every time I look at it, it's still running. So I think it'll get at least 40 hours out of that. So it seems to be fairly accurate. I'll say just a little bit fast maybe, but I'm not sure I want to play with that, because I'm sure if it's been worn on the wrist it might be a little tiny bit slow. But I had it to beat error of 0.3, and I had it to, I think it was plus 5 seconds or something, plus 5 seconds a day. And kind of that's what it was, 5 seconds. I kept a couple days ago and it was up a little bit. So anyway, that's the Tudor, and I've got to work on that bumper movement next, the one that's scares me, but that's the Zenith bumper movement. I got to do some work on that. And then the last watch of all here, I'm giving you like the update from hell here, is this watch here. And this is my friend Tim's dad's watch, and I knew Tim's dad really well. A very nice guy. He passed away a short while ago, but this is the Regina watch. I did some research on this watch, and it is really an Omega watch. So Omega made these Regina brands, and I think they sold them in Canada. And as you can see, the balance is floaty-woaty like that. And I'm going to try to re-pivot the balance, and I'm going to try to make a video showing me re-pivoting this balance after I strip this thing down and clean it. So that's what I'm going to try to do, as opposed to trying to find a balance staff for this. I could make a balance staff for it as well, but I'm actually going to try to re-pivot it and see if that works. Because if I can re-pivot it, it's going to be a lot, it might be a lot faster than making a new balance, although re-pivoting is tricky as well. So that's pretty much it for today. That's a little bit of an update. I wasn't doing a lot of watch work today. I had other things to do. Nickel Silver, I remember him. I think he was a wrestler at Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling. Nickel Silver in the ring with Killer Karl Krupp and the German Claw. Now, I think there's probably 1% of the people watching this know who Killer Karl Krupp was and the German Claw. But look up, Google Killer Karl Krupp, and you'll see this guy with a monocle on, and he was famous Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling up in Canada, where they all got in the same bus and went to the next town. So that's Killer Karl Krupp, and he had the German Claw, and he'd grab the guy in the stomach and hold his wrist as though he was trying to hold back the force of the German Claw. And he would grab the stomach, and the guy would be yelling, "Ah!" in pain. And that was Killer Karl Krupp on the German Claw. Anyway, on that note, I'll see you later.